Cool, we're live. So, Hugh, just for the benefit of those watching, could you share in one or two lines what you do, who you help, and the situation your business was in before working with me?
Okay, so I'm an ex-CEO and now I am a life purpose coach, very much focusing on a couple of areas. One is helping high achievers connect to purpose, balance, and joy, whether that's CEOs, business owners, founders, etc. And the other side of that is helping people scale and potentially sell their business as well. So it's a combination of coaching and mentoring. And I would say that where I was with my business prior to striking up this relationship with yourself was I was relatively successful. I was quite early on in my journey, felt very confident that I was going to make a big success of this, even though I'm relatively part-time. Um, my success had taken me by surprise. And what I had realized was that I was making lots of mistakes. And although I believed that I would absolutely succeed. What I decided I want to do was parachute in some expertise and accelerate the process, which is absolutely what happened. So, as you're aware, Joel, I initially took you on board or signed up for a 4 month retainer, and I was relatively obsessed with an ROI. We talked about that quite extensively prior to me signing up, and I did lots of research prior to coming across yourself. And I did speak to several people. So I did my due diligence, as I always would have done as a CEO, and found it very important that I actually spoke to people who not only are people who had succeeded, basically, which was really important. So a track record of success is important. So yeah, I was relatively obsessed with an ROI, and we signed up initially for a 4 month retained relationship, and I got multiples of return on that within the 4 months. Enough that I then extended the relationship by another 12 months, and those 12 months were more than covered in the first 4 months. So that's where I am. So I'm feeling very confident that I made the right choice. I'm
Mhm.
feeling that I've grown and evolved dramatically, not just as a coach, but most importantly, around my business skills around coaching. Um, I have a much better sense of what I'm able to deliver and how to deliver it. So I think it's a win-win, to be honest. I'm very happy with the choice that I made.
Beautiful. And do you remember before working with me, like what obstacles would have prevented you from signing up?
Um, Belief, absolutely, that there was the scale of opportunity that I felt I needed. That's probably number one, because I think coaching can be, in 99% almost of instances, a pyramid scheme where you end up with lots of coaches who coach coaches because they haven't necessarily made a success of their businesses. And they don't necessarily have the expertise or wherewithal to really coach coaches because they haven't been there and lived it themselves. Whereas, um, I felt confident that I really wanted to help real people. And I wanted somebody that had been on that journey themselves and had delivered success themselves, and somebody that was able to provide me with the tools to deliver that. So where I was I was making regular mistakes. And, there was one mistake in particular that really brought it home to me. My primary vehicle for generating new leads is LinkedIn. And I was connecting every week with the maximum number of people I could connect with, sending out connection requests. And it wasn't until I happened to stumble across a comment on an article somewhere about the fact that you shouldn't be leaving LinkedIn connection requests open for an extended period that I realized I'd gone for a year just connecting with people and leaving it open. And I had something like 1,500 people that I'd had open connection requests with. And I had to go in and individually delete every single one of them because otherwise, apparently, it slows down the algorithm. Um, and that was such a painful exercise and a great learning curve for me as well. Because as a CEO, I wouldn't have thought twice, and I didn't used to think twice about parachuting in expertise. Whereas, striking up as on my own as a coach, all of a sudden, I was my own creative director, marketing director, IT director, all of those admin, whatever. And I just wanted to accelerate the process and cut through a lot of the noise and really home in on what was going to give me the best return. And so what I really wanted was systems. What I really wanted was focus. And that not necessarily coaching, but that's come with it in, bucket loads, which was a very pleasant surprise. But really it was about systems, about techniques, and about creating the right, lead funnels, and about, the best approaches, and about, understanding who I should be targeting and how I should be targeting them.
Mhm. And what have been some of your biggest shifts in your business since working together?
The number one shift was almost immediate, and I tripled my fees.
Mm.
Unbelievable. I mean, you probably couldn't have asked for a better headline there. But yeah, from almost from day one of us working together, it was the belief that my time was worth so much more, because what I wasn't selling was an hourly rate. What I was selling was a transformation, and that was a game changer for me. And ironically, since I've tripled my charges, I've got more clients. And when I say more clients, I restrict the number of clients that I have anyway, because I don't want more than 2 a month. And having tripled my fees when we first established a relationship, by the end of this year, based on what I was charging before, I'll be 5 times that amount. So I'd say that's the biggest one, is belief. And knowing, and the reason for the belief is knowing what I'm really delivering and why, and what difference that's making, the transformation that's delivering, and what that's worth.
Do you remember what drew that out of you?
I think it was putting together a program, um, and really uh, articulating the process that I would take my clients, the journey that I take them on, and what the end results would be from that. And I think that was probably the first part of it that really started to crystallize in my mind what the transformation actually was that I was offering. And that helped package it in a way that got the message across much more effectively, but also um, encouraged me to reach out as well, and to lean into my discomfort, because the whole process has very much been about growth and leaning into my discomfort, accountability. And without that, I probably wouldn't have moved forward as much as I actually have. Um, and every time I've done that, it's opened up a world of opportunity every single time. So you get to the point where you start to really thrive on that. With that, whilst appreciating that some things are just uncomfortable and you don't want them, but really starting to recognize what is going to move you forward, and yeah, without compromise as well.
Yeah, I love that. I remember there being quite a lot of resistance at first to this idea of a program, because in essence, right, coaching is this journey that we cannot predict where it goes. And I seem to remember this sort of to and fro around this resistance of a program, but I think it landed in you when you realize it is a marketing tool, a way to build trust and confidence that the path they're going on and how to get them from point A to point B. It's not necessarily the linear journey you need to take them through in the actual coaching itself. I think that was a big penny that dropped.
The program was more important for me than it was for my clients. Totally. It was more important for my transformation than it was for from a marketing perspective. Because I don't use that program anymore. I don't need to use that program anymore, because now I just connect to my clients on a human level. And it's more of a feeling and a connection. And it's probably supreme belief more than anything, that I'm connecting to them with, rather than the specifics of a program and a journey. But the journey was the journey that I needed to go on to understand and appreciate what I was delivering. And that was the game changer, I would say. And putting that into more of a formal program enabled me to appreciate that much more than the clients. And that generated belief, which has snowballed as a result.
Yeah, totally. I think there are those phases of going through the process and then just letting it go and making it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Were there any surprising shifts that you experienced in yourself and in your coaching and your business since working together?
Many,
Or many, yeah. Some
many.
anyone that stand out.
I mean, the very first one, tripling my fees,
Mhm.
because there is a perception out there that that people won't pay, and that's just not true. It's about the messaging and it's about the transformation that you're offering, and the value of that is placing value in yourself. So that was a massive shift. Absolutely. Um, it was also about, I mentioned this before, leaning into discomfort, and that is a real buzz phrase for me now. And that was a real learning for me as well about how much I thrive on that. Um, the other one was outsourcing, and the more, which is exactly what I would have done as a CEO, because I did relatively little work as a CEO. It was much more about creating a team and having a vision and making sure that everybody was aligned and having people in each of the roles that were significantly better than me. I'm much more inclined to do that now as a coach as well. And the more that I can outsource and the more that I can just focus myself on doing the best that I can for my clients. Absolutely. And it's a privileged position to be sitting in to do that. Um, and that's come with a lot of insight that I've got from this relationship.
Beautiful. What would you say to anyone who is considering working with me?
Don't do it. No, it's a joke. Absolutely. I have recommended you to several people before. Um, I think that you're a great coach anyway, but from a coaching business perspective, as I said, there are so many out there that it's difficult to see the wood for the trees. And having done the due diligence myself and having gone through this process, I think testament to my view of what you bring to the table is the fact that I did the 4 months, obsessed with an ROI, and I've extended it by another 12 months. So that's 16 months in total. Because I absolutely see the value. I wouldn't be without a coach now going forward. And I think that it's an incredible journey to go on, and it's a privilege to be sitting in the position that I'm sitting in, having just come literally off the back of an amazing coaching call just now. Um, and I would highly recommend um, someone to speak to you if they're considering it, to speak to you directly, because that's also incredibly important that there is a connection. Because you know, different coaches for different people. So you have to make sure that there is a positive human connection, and if there is, I would say trust in your process. That's my advice. So have a conversation, but then trust in the process because it's there. And I think that from my understanding, what I've learned is that you're very intuitive and you adapt according to your clients as well. And you have so much in your armory, that so many assets that you're able to shine a light on the right path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Anything else you'd like to add? I'm getting greedy here, but
It's been a pleasure to share the journey, to be totally honest. And I can see that you've evolved quite dramatically over the time that I've worked with you. And I feel like to an extent I'm riding on your coattails. Even though I've come from a CEO background, this coaching world is a relatively new world for me, although I'm relatively successful at it now as well. Yeah, it's an exciting journey to share, very much so, and very joyous journey to share, which is really important. And I try to incorporate that into all of my conversations with all of my clients because my whole taglines are purpose, balance, and joy. And I would say that this journey has been very joyous and continues to evolve in that way.
Totally. And soon we'll be dancing the fields of Reading. Not Reading Festival, can I add, but we'll be a wellness festival. We will be, yeah,
Waves on the stage.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. So, no, it's been a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to continuing the journey.
Likewise. Yeah, thank you so much for your words.
And the other thing I would say is I would never recommend anybody unless I absolutely believed in it, because I wouldn't put my name to it. That's really important. So,
yeah,
absolutely get my stamp of approval.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Hugh.
Thank you.